The research vessel Orpheus rocked gently on the surface of the Mariana Trench, a vast and silent stretch of ocean where light barely touched the water. Above, the sun was dipping low, painting the horizon in gold and pink, but beneath, darkness pressed like a living thing. Dr. Ilara Niven stood at the observation deck, staring at the calm waves, her mind far below the surface. For months, her team had been scanning the trench, following anomalies in the sonar readings. But nothing prepared them for what was about to appear. "Captain," Ilara called, her voice steady but tinged with excitement. "We've got something on the sonar. It's enormous. You need to see this." Captain Wren smiled, rubbing his beard. He had sailed many parts of the ocean and seen countless wrecks, but he trusted Ilara's instincts. "Show me," he said, moving quickly to the sonar station. The screen displayed a massive shape lying flat on the seabed, at least 300 meters long. Its outline was clear and strange, too symmetrical to be a natural formation, too organized to be a recent wreck. The sonar pulse hit it again, and faint ripples of energy bounced back. Ilara's pulse quickened. She had studied ancient shipwrecks, satellites, scans, and deep-sea anomalies. But this was unlike anything she had seen. "Is it a ship?" one of the crew members whispered. "I don't know," Ilara admitted. "It doesn't match any known ship design. It's old, ancient, I think. And these readings, they're not just physical. There's some kind of energy pattern, rhythmic, like a heartbeat." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Ships don't have heartbeats. Not even the oldest submarines. Yet the machine insisted there was a pattern, a pulse emanating from the object. The Orpheus moved carefully toward the location, the deep-sea cameras deployed to record every angle. The water around the anomaly shimmered faintly, though no sunlight reached that depth. It was as if the very ocean acknowledged the presence of the object. Night fell, and a hush came over the vessel. Most of the crew stayed close to the sonar room, watching. Then, a faint vibration ran through the hull. The ship's lights flickered. Captain Wren frowned. "It's probably the currents," he muttered, though his voice betrayed doubt. The deep-sea cameras transmitted live images to the bridge. The team watched, stunned. Slowly, almost impossibly, the shape on the ocean floor began to rise. At first, it was subtle. A gentle lift. Then the motion accelerated, breaking the rules of physics as they knew them. The water churned and foamed as the sunken vessel, covered in coral and strange organic growths, moved upward. "Good heavens," whispered Ilara. Her eyes were wide with disbelief. "It's moving on its own." The captain ordered the engines off, letting the Orpheus drift. The moonlight glinted on the waves as the massive ship emerged, breaking the surface with a sound like thunder rolling over the sea. Crew members gasped, some falling back in shock. The ship, though centuries old, looked intact. Its hull shimmered with a strange metallic glow, and lights dim but steady flickered along its deck. Ilara's mind raced. It's obeying something, a command. But whose? And why now? The crew prepared for anything. They lowered a small observation boat, equipped with cameras and sensors, to approach the sunken ship. As they drew closer, the air of mystery deepened. The ship bore markings that seemed to shift in the light, patterns that were not letters or numbers but something older, almost alive. When they finally reached the deck, Ilara was the first to step aboard. The surface was slick with algae, yet the metal beneath was strangely warm. She reached out to touch it, and a faint pulse ran through her fingertips. The energy was soft, almost like the ship was breathing. "Everyone, be careful," she warned. "I don't know what we're dealing with. It may be intelligent. It may react." Inside, the ship was a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, surprisingly clean considering its age. Strange devices lined the walls, tubes and mechanisms entwined with living coral-like growths. The air was thick but breathable, almost as if the ship maintained it. Holographic lines flickered in the darkness, tracing symbols across the surfaces, glowing faintly. "Look at this," whispered one of the crew, pointing at a panel that seemed to respond to their presence. The symbols pulsed faster when approached, almost like a heartbeat syncing with their own. Alara studied the readings. "This isn't human technology," she said. "Not even close. Whoever built this, it's far beyond anything we've ever imagined, and it's still operational." A sudden sound startled the team, a low hum, vibrating through the hull of the Orpheus. It was not mechanical, it was melodic, like the resonance of a bell underwater. Alara realized it was coming from the ship, a response to their intrusion. The vessel, ancient and impossible, was aware of them. "Dr. Niven, what is it doing?" asked Captain Wren, tension in his voice. I don't know. But I think it's trying to communicate." They followed the humming deeper into the ship, guided by faint lights. The corridors opened into a central chamber, vast and circular, with a pedestal in the middle. On it rested a strange device, spherical and covered in shifting symbols. It pulsed rhythmically, sending waves of energy through the room. "It's the source," Alara said, moving closer. "Whatever command is keeping this ship alive, it's here." Her hand hovered over the sphere. As she touched it, a wave of images flooded her mind. Stars, planets, oceans, and skies passed in a cascade of colors. A message formed, clear despite its alien nature. "Observe, learn, prepare." Alara staggered back, gasping. "It's giving us a message. It's warning us." The crew looked at her, fear and awe written across their faces. "Warning about what?" asked one of the scientists. "Something, or someone," Alara said. "Something ancient. Something that may still watch us." Oh, outside, the sea had grown restless. Strange shapes moved beneath the water, shadows larger than whales, circling the rising ship. The ocean itself seemed to acknowledge the vessel's awakening. Captain Wren looked at Alara, concern heavy in his eyes. "We need to decide, Doctor. Do we stay and investigate, or do we retreat?" Alara shook her head. "We can't retreat. Not yet. This is history. This is knowledge. And I think it's testing us. Testing humanity." As the night deepened, the Orpheus and the ancient ship floated side by side, two vessels from different times, connected by a silent, invisible force. The crew of the Orpheus felt it in their bones, a mix of fear, awe, and a strange hope. Humanity was standing on the edge of something far greater than they had ever imagined. And far below, in the endless darkness, the pulse of the ancient ship continued, steady and unbroken. It had awakened, and it had called humanity to witness. The ocean was no longer just a vast emptiness. It was alive with secrets, and the first chapter of a new story was beginning. One that would test courage, wisdom, and the very nature of humankind. Dr. Alara Niven stood at the deck, staring at the rising moon and the ancient vessel beside them. "We have to understand it," she whispered, almost to herself. "We have to know why it obeyed, why it rose now, and what it wants from us." The crew, once skeptical, now shared her conviction. They had glimpsed something that transcended time and human understanding. The ocean had revealed a secret, and it had chosen them to see it. And as the night wore on, the hum of the ship's energy grew louder, almost singing, as if the ocean itself listened. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger world. A world that had waited patiently beneath the waves, hidden for centuries, until it decided the time had come. The sunken ship had risen. And with it, the adventure had begun. The ancient ship floated silently beside the Orpheus, its massive form casting long shadows across the water. The night had deepened, and the crew remained on edge, unable to shake the feeling that the vessel was alive in some way. Dr. Alara Niven gathered her team in the observation boat. They would board the ship at first light, equipped with sensors, lights, and recording equipment. Every step into the unknown carried both excitement and danger. When dawn arrived, the ocean was calm, reflecting the pale morning light like glass. Alara and her team approached the ship cautiously. The vessel seemed to respond, almost as if it had anticipated their arrival. Lights along its hull pulsed rhythmically, syncing with the low hum that had begun the previous night. Alara's pulse quickened. The ship was communicating in a language humans had never known. "Stay close," Alara instructed. "We don't know how it reacts to us. Move slowly and observe everything." The crew nodded, their faces a mix of fear and curiosity. They stepped onto the deck. The surface was cold and slick, but surprisingly firm. Strange patterns etched into the metal glowed faintly beneath their feet. Each step sent soft vibrations through the deck, as if the ship acknowledged their presence. It was not merely a vessel. It was a living artifact. The team explored the corridors, which twisted and turned in ways that defied conventional architecture. Some passages seemed impossibly long. Others opened into vast chambers that stretched beyond the limits of their lights. On the walls, glowing symbols shifted as if alive. When someone moved closer, the symbols pulsed faster. When they moved away, the glow dimmed. The ship was observing, learning, responding. "Alara," said Dr. Tomas Vega, one of the team's engineers, "this technology, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. It's not just machinery. It's almost organic." The circuits seem to grow, like they are part of a living system. Alara knelt beside a panel that seemed to pulse in response to her touch. She felt a faint vibration under her fingers. The ship was not dangerous yet, but she could sense its awareness. "It's intelligent," she whispered. "It knows we are here." The central chamber of the ship was unlike anything else. In its heart stood a pedestal supporting a spherical device covered in alien symbols. The device pulsed, sending waves of energy that made the crew's hair stand on end. When Alara approached it, the air seemed to vibrate with sound and light, communicating a message beyond words. Tomas recorded everything. "It's a message," he said, awe in his voice. "We're not just seeing technology, we're reading thought patterns. This ship is telling us something." Alara closed her eyes, letting the energy flow over her. Visions appeared in her mind, stars, oceans, and strange planets that moved with a rhythm she could feel in her chest. The message was clear in meaning, even if the symbols were foreign. Observe, learn, prepare. Be ready for what comes. It was a warning, but also a challenge. Humanity was being tested. Suddenly, the hum of the ship grew louder, vibrating through the hull of the Orpheus and the deck of the ancient vessel. Alara and the crew exchanged worried glances. The energy was spreading, interacting with the environment. Sensors on the ship detected currents moving in unnatural patterns. Fish and larger sea creatures swam close, circling the vessel as if drawn to its power. The ocean itself seemed alive. "We need to record everything," Alara said, voice steady. "This is history. But we also need to be careful. We can't force it. We have to understand it." As they explored further, they found rooms filled with strange artifacts, tools, instruments, and objects that defied physics. Some seemed to manipulate light, bending it around them. Others produced soft sounds that harmonized with the ship's hum. It was clear that the creators of this ship had mastered both technology and biology in ways humans had never achieved. One of the crew, a marine biologist named Lila Chang, approached a chamber filled with coral-like growths fused with metal. She reached out to touch one, and the structure shifted slightly, responding to her presence. "It's alive," she whispered. "It's not just machinery, it's a living system. And it's friendly, in a way," Alara nodded. "Or it's testing us. It's evaluating whether we're ready to handle knowledge like this." She turned to the team. "We're not just explorers. We're representatives of humanity. Our behavior matters." While they examined the ship, a sudden tremor shook the ocean around them. A shadow moved beneath the surface, a massive shape, larger than any whale, circling the ancient vessel. The crew froze. Ilara's heart pounded. Stay calm. Observe. Don't panic. That's what it wants. The shadow moved closer, then slowly sank back into the depths. The ship's lights pulsed in response, as if acknowledging the presence of the unknown creature. Ilara realized that the ship and the ocean were connected in ways she could not yet understand. This was not merely a sunken vessel. It was a sentinel. A bridge between Earth and something much larger. In the hours that followed, the crew discovered inscriptions along the walls of the central chamber. They were complex, but patterns emerged. Using logic and mathematics, Ilara began to decode them. The symbols spoke of travel, observation, and caution. The ship was built by an ancient civilization that had visited Earth long before humans existed. It had remained dormant until now, waiting for the right moment when humans reached a level of understanding and technology sufficient to comprehend it. This ship is a message from the past, Ilara explained to the team. It was sent to observe us, to see if we're ready. The revelation filled the crew with awe and a sense of responsibility. They were not simply exploring, they were participating in a test. Their actions, decisions, and behavior would determine the outcome. The ship's purpose was unknown, but it was clear. Humanity was being measured by more than curiosity or skill. It was being measured by courage, intelligence, and morality. As evening approached, the energy from the ship intensified. Waves lapped against the Orpheus, and the air seemed charged. The sensors began picking up strange readings in the surrounding ocean. Currents shifted unnaturally, and deep-sea creatures appeared near the surface, drawn by the ship's power. The crew realized that the ancient vessel was not just rising, it was interacting with the planet itself, testing the boundaries of nature. Dr. Niven, Captain Wren said, worry in his voice. Do we have a plan? Can we control it? Can we control it? Ilara shook her head. We can't control it. Not yet. And maybe we're not meant to. This is a test. We have to respond, not command. Observe, learn, and act wisely. Late that night, the crew gathered on the deck of the Orpheus, watching the ancient ship. Its lights pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and unwavering. The ocean shimmered around it, responding to its energy. Humanity had awakened a force far older than themselves, a sentinel from a forgotten time. And with that awakening came responsibility. Ilara stood at the edge of the deck, staring at the rising moon. It's waiting for us to prove ourselves, she whispered, not just as explorers but as humans. Our courage, intelligence, and ethics, they're all being tested. And we have to rise to the challenge. The crew nodded, understanding the weight of their task. The ancient ship was no longer just a mystery, it was a mirror, reflecting humanity's potential. Every action they took, every decision they made, mattered. And as the night deepened, the hum of the vessel continued. A steady, ancient rhythm that echoed through the ocean and into their hearts. The first part of the test had begun, and the crew of the Orpheus knew they were standing on the edge of something much greater than themselves. The ocean was no longer a boundary but a bridge to a larger world, one that had waited patiently for the right moment. The ancient ship had risen, and humanity had taken its first step toward understanding why. The sun had just risen, casting a pale light over the ocean, yet the ancient ship remained calm and still, as if waiting for humanity to take the next step. Dr. Ilara Niven and her team had spent the night poring over the data collected from the ship. Every reading, every vibration, and every light pulse had been recorded. The patterns were consistent. The vessel was not only alive, but aware, capable of interacting with the world around it. Its rising had not been random. It had chosen this moment, and it had chosen humanity. Ilara, look at this, Tomas Vega said, pointing at a holographic display on the observation table. The display showed energy readings from the ship, radiating outward into the ocean. Currents, tides, even deep-sea creatures seemed to respond to its presence. It's affecting everything. The ocean itself is alive with its signal. Ilara studied the readings carefully. It's not just the ocean, she said. Satellites are picking up disturbances in the atmosphere. Weather patterns are shifting, just slightly. The ship's energy is interacting with the planet. She paused, her mind racing. This is more than a vessel, it's a system. A sentinel, designed to test, observe, and respond. The crew gathered around, each member understanding the gravity of what they were witnessing. Lila Chang, the marine biologist, frowned. If it can affect the ocean and the atmosphere, could it be dangerous? What if it triggers something we can't control? Alara shook her head. I don't think it's dangerous in a hostile sense. I think it's a test. It wants to see how we react, how humans respond to knowledge, to responsibility, to power. The team decided to approach the ship once more, moving carefully through the observation boat. As they drew closer, the vessel seemed to respond, lights pulsing faster, almost like a heartbeat accelerating. The air was thick with energy, and the ocean around them shimmered as if alive. It was both beautiful and intimidating. Stepping onto the deck, Alara felt the pulse under her feet. It was stronger now, almost guiding her forward. She led her team into the central chamber, where the spherical device rested on the pedestal. The device had grown brighter overnight, and the energy waves emanating from it were more pronounced. This is it, Alara said quietly. This is where the message comes from. Whatever it wants to tell us, it will happen here. As they approached, the device responded to their presence. Holographic projections lit up the chamber, showing stars, planets, and strange civilizations long gone. The ship was revealing a history of the universe, civilizations that had risen and fallen, and the role of sentinels like itself. Alara realized that humanity was being compared to these lost civilizations. The vessel was not just observing, it was measuring potential. Suddenly, the ship's energy surged. Lights flashed across the deck, and the air vibrated with power. The crew stumbled, holding onto railings and equipment to steady themselves. The ship seemed to demand something. A response. Alara felt a thought emerge in her mind, not spoken but understood. Prove yourselves worthy. What does it want? Captain Wren shouted over the hum of energy. Alara took a deep breath. It wants to see if we can act wisely. If we can understand, cooperate, and make choices that benefit more than ourselves. It's testing our morality, our intelligence, and our courage. The crew realized the implications. This was no longer about exploration or discovery, it was about humanity proving its worth. Each decision, each action, mattered. The ship's tests were subtle, but powerful. It manipulated the environment to see how humans would respond. Alara led the team through the ship, observing how the devices and chambers interacted with them. Some rooms required cooperation to unlock pathways, puzzles that tested logic and communication. Others presented moral dilemmas. Holographic simulations showing civilizations on the brink of destruction, waiting to see if the crew would intervene or act selfishly. In one chamber, the team faced a simulation of a flooded city. Rising water threatened innocent lives, and the simulation provided multiple solutions, each with consequences. Alara and her team worked together, using knowledge, creativity, and empathy to save as many lives as possible. The ship responded, pulsing with approval. The energy waves stabilizing as if acknowledging their success. This is incredible, Tomas said, his voice filled with awe. It's not just technology. It's teaching us. It's showing us how to think, how to act. Alara nodded. It's showing us the responsibility that comes with power. Knowledge without wisdom is dangerous. The ship wants to know if we're ready to wield it. Outside, the ocean responded. Strange creatures moved closer to the surface, drawn by the ship's energy. Currents shifted gently, and clouds formed patterns that mirrored the ship's pulsing lights. The world itself seemed engaged in the test, reacting to the team's decisions. As the day progressed, the ship revealed more about its origin. Holographic projections showed an ancient civilization, far older than humanity, which had observed Earth for eons. This civilization had built sentinels like the ship to awaken when certain conditions were met. Intelligence, cooperation, and ethical behavior. Humanity had reached that threshold, and the ship had risen to see if they were ready. "Elara," Lila said, pointing to the projections. "Look at this. The civilization that built this ship, they observed entire planets. They studied life, growth, and intelligence, and they created these vessels as tests." Elara's mind raced. "We're standing at the edge of something greater than ourselves. This isn't just about survival, it's about growth, understanding, and responsibility. The ship is a bridge, and we have to cross it carefully." As evening fell, the energy from the ship intensified again. The pulse grew stronger, resonating through the Orpheus and the surrounding waters. Elara realized that the vessel's final test was approaching. The ship wanted a direct interaction, a proof that humans could respond to power with wisdom. The crew gathered in the central chamber, each member understanding the weight of the moment. Elara approached the spherical device once more. Her hand hovered over it, feeling the vibrations. The ship's energy seemed to connect with her mind. A silent communication, asking for judgment, courage, and understanding. Taking a deep breath, Elara focused. She thought not only of herself, but of the entire crew, of humanity, and of the responsibility they bore. She projected calm, wisdom, and cooperation in her thoughts, hoping the ship would recognize their intent. The device pulsed brighter, and the energy waves spread across the ocean. Currents moved in harmony. The shadows of deep-sea creatures shifted respectfully, and the atmosphere stabilized. The ship's test was complete. It had measured humanity's response to power, knowledge, and responsibility, and found them worthy. Tomas let out a relieved laugh. "I can't believe it. We passed it. The ship, it accepted us." Elara nodded, but her mind was already racing forward. "This is just the beginning. The ship has knowledge, technology, and understanding that could change everything. But we have to be careful. This is a gift, not a tool for greed." Captain Wren placed a hand on her shoulder. "We'll handle it wisely, Elara. Humanity has proven it can rise to the challenge." The ancient vessel, its test complete, began to stabilize. Lights pulsed gently, and the hum softened into a steady rhythm. The ocean returned to its calm state, as if acknowledging the team's success. Humanity had been tested, and had risen to the occasion, showing courage, intelligence, and morality. Elara looked out over the ocean, feeling a deep sense of awe. "The ship is more than a test," she whispered. "It's a bridge to something far greater, and we've just begun to understand what it means to be worthy of it." The crew of the Orpheus stood together, watching the ancient ship. It was no longer a mystery, but a symbol of humanity's potential. The ocean shimmered around them, alive, with energy and possibility. The vessel had risen, tested, and now waited, ready to guide humanity toward knowledge, wisdom, and growth. And as the night fell, the hum of the ancient ship continued, a steady, timeless rhythm echoing through the ocean, a reminder that humanity had passed the test, but that the journey was only beginning. The vessel had awakened, and so had the potential of humankind. The ocean was no longer a boundary. It was a bridge to the stars, to knowledge, and to a future shaped by courage, wisdom, and cooperation. Humanity had proven it could rise to the challenge, and the ancient ship, a sentinel from a forgotten era, had shown them the way. The ancient ship floated quietly beside the Orpheus, its massive form reflecting the pale light of dawn. After the tests of the previous day, the crew had a sense of cautious confidence. They had passed the ship's evaluations, demonstrating courage, intelligence, and cooperation. Yet, there was an unspoken understanding among them. The ship had much more to reveal. Its purpose was far from complete. Humanity had been deemed worthy, but the journey ahead promised challenges they could not yet imagine. Dr. Elara Niven stood at the railing, staring at the smooth, metallic surface of the ancient vessel. The soft pulse of its lights reflected in her eyes, and she could feel the hum of its energy through the soles of her feet. The ship had awoken, observed, and tested them. Now, it seemed to be inviting them further, almost as if it wanted to share its knowledge. "Elara, what do you think it wants next?" Captain Wren asked quietly, stepping beside her. "I think it wants us to interact with it," she replied. "The tests were only the beginning. The ship has knowledge, technology, and guidance. If we are careful, we can learn from it." The crew prepared to board the vessel one more time. This time, there was no fear, only purpose. Each member understood the responsibility they carried. They were not explorers seeking treasure, they were representatives of humanity, entrusted with the opportunity to understand something far greater than themselves. As they stepped onto the deck, the lights of the ship pulsed faster, synchronizing with their steps. The vessel seemed to acknowledge their presence, welcoming rather than testing. Elara led the team into the central chamber, where the spherical device rested on the pedestal. The device glowed brighter than ever, its energy waves spreading gently through the room. Elara approached it, her hand hovering over the surface. The energy was warm, almost comforting. When she touched it, visions appeared in her mind: stars, planets, and civilizations spanning the galaxy. She saw beings who had once observed Earth, guiding and nurturing intelligence in many worlds. The message was clear. The ship was a bridge, a tool meant to elevate humanity, not to dominate or destroy. The crew watched in awe as the device projected images into the chamber. Holographic maps of distant star systems rotated slowly, each with details of planets, moons, and life forms. Advanced technologies, some organic, some mechanical, appeared, showing ways to harness energy, heal ecosystems, and explore the stars safely. The ship was not only a relic, it was a teacher, offering knowledge that could transform civilization. "This is incredible," Tomas said, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's everything we've ever imagined and more. But how do we use it responsibly?" Elara nodded. "We have to learn first. Then we can apply it wisely. Knowledge without understanding is dangerous. The ship is teaching us patience, judgment, and cooperation values that are just as important as technology." As they explored the vessel further, they discovered chambers filled with advanced machinery. Some devices seemed to manipulate energy directly from the environment, while others interacted with organic systems, merging technology with life in a way humans had never seen. The ship's creators had mastered the balance between science and nature, and it was evident in every detail. Outside, the ocean responded to the ship's energy. Currents moved gracefully, as if choreographed, and marine creatures swam closer to the surface, drawn to the vessel's pulse. The world seemed to recognize that humanity had passed the test. It was a subtle but profound acknowledgement. Earth itself was connected to the knowledge being offered. Elara paused in a corridor filled with glowing panels. She traced a symbol with her finger, and the panel responded, revealing more information about the ship's origins. The creators had been explorers, scientists, and guardians. They had built sentinels across the galaxy to awaken when intelligent species reached a level of ethical and technological maturity. Humanity had reached that threshold, and the ship had risen to guide them. Captain Wren spoke softly, as if not to disturb the reverent atmosphere. "We have a chance to shape the future, Elara. To use this knowledge to help our world and beyond." Elara looked at him and nodded. "Yes. But we must remember why it was given to us. Responsibility, wisdom, and cooperation must guide every decision." Suddenly, the ship's energy intensified again. A deep hum filled the air, resonating through the ocean and into the hull of the Orpheus. The spherical device projected a vast star map, showing routes between planets and civilizations, and symbols representing principles of life, energy, and balance. The ship was offering a path forward, not a tool for power, but a guide for growth. The crew realized the significance of the moment. They were standing on the threshold of a new era. Humanity had been tested, proven worthy, and now faced the opportunity to expand knowledge, explore the stars, and apply wisdom in ways never before possible. Lila Chang stepped forward, her eyes shining. It's showing us a choice. We can take this knowledge and help life thrive, or we can ignore it and remain limited. The responsibility is ours. Ilara felt a sense of awe and clarity. We must choose wisely. This is bigger than any one of us. It's about all of humanity. She turned to the team. Together, we will learn, understand, and share. This is not just a gift, it's a challenge. We must rise to meet it. The ship responded to their decision. Its lights pulsed brighter, and energy waves spread outward, calming the ocean and stabilizing the currents. Marine life returned to normal patterns, and the subtle disturbances in the atmosphere settled. The ship's acknowledgement was clear. Humanity had passed the final measure of judgment. They had not only acted with intelligence but with compassion, cooperation, and foresight. Dr. Vega examined one of the ship's devices, noting its ability to interface with human minds without harm. This could accelerate our understanding of everything. Science, medicine, engineering. But we have to approach it carefully, step by step. Ilara nodded. Exactly. We are not taking shortcuts. We are learning. This knowledge is powerful, but it is useless if we are not ready to use it wisely. The crew spent hours aboard the ancient vessel, documenting every discovery, interacting with the ship's systems, and understanding the principles behind its technology. They marveled at the harmony of its design, the balance between energy, life, and intelligence. It was a lesson in stewardship as much as it was in science. As night fell, the team returned to the Orpheus, taking with them the knowledge they had gained and a deeper understanding of their responsibility. The ancient ship hovered silently beside them, its lights soft and steady. It had fulfilled its purpose for now, offering guidance without interference, allowing humanity to choose its own path. Ilara stood at the railing of the Orpheus, staring at the ship and the ocean. "It's gone for now," she whispered. "But its message remains. We've been given a chance to grow, to rise beyond our limitations, and we must not waste it." Captain Wren placed a hand on her shoulder. "We've learned more than we imagined. Humanity has a future among the stars, Ilara, and we're ready to take the first steps." The crew looked out over the calm ocean, feeling a profound connection to the ancient vessel, the planet, and the greater universe. The ship had risen, tested them, and imparted its knowledge. It had chosen humanity not because of strength or power, but because of the ability to act wisely and with compassion. In the following days, the team carefully studied the data and technology brought from the ship. Innovations began to take shape. Ways to improve energy systems, heal ecosystems, and understand life more fully. The knowledge of the ancient civilization offered a roadmap for responsible growth, but it also reminded them that wisdom must always accompany power. Ilara realized that humanity's true challenge was only beginning. The ship had opened a door, but walking through it required patience, ethics, and unity. The lessons of courage, intelligence, and moral judgment would guide them as they applied the knowledge in the real world. The ancient ship, now a silent guardian on the horizon, seemed to pulse one last time, acknowledging their understanding. Then, slowly, it began to drift away, returning to the depths from which it had risen. Its purpose had been fulfilled, but its presence left an indelible mark on humanity. Ilara watched until the ship vanished beneath the waves, feeling a mixture of awe and hope. The ocean was quiet again, yet the memory of the rising vessel and its teachings lingered in every wave, every current, and every heartbeat. Humanity had been tested and had risen to meet the challenge. The future, once uncertain, now shone with possibility. Captain Wren turned to the crew. "We've witnessed something extraordinary. But remember, the work starts now. The ship gave us guidance, but it's up to us to follow it wisely." Ilara nodded, her mind filled with both wonder and determination. We will. We have the knowledge, the courage, and the wisdom. Humanity will rise, not just in strength, but in understanding. And as the night sky stretched over the calm ocean, stars glittering in silence, the Orpheus sailed on, carrying humanity into a future shaped by discovery, responsibility, and hope. The ancient ship had risen, the test had been passed, and a new chapter for humanity had begun, a chapter of growth, unity, and the promise of reaching for the stars. The ocean, once a boundary, was now a gateway. And humanity, having proved itself worthy, would rise to meet the universe with courage, wisdom, and heart.